The smallest helper. In a cheerful little town by a winding river lived a tiny mouse named Milo. Milo was smaller than a teacup and quieter than a whisper. Because of his size, many animals believed he couldn't help with anything important. Milo heard those words often, and they made his whiskers droop, but his heart stayed kind and hopeful. One windy morning, the town prepared for its annual harvest picnic. Tables were being set, baskets were being filled, and everyone was busy. Suddenly, dark clouds rolled in, and a strong gust of wind knocked over the sign that pointed guests toward the picnic meadow. The sign cracked and fell into the grass. "Oh no!" cried the rabbit. "People won't know where to go." The bear tried to lift the sign, but it was stuck. The fox tugged and tugged, but it wouldn't budge. Everyone rushed around, worried and flustered. Milo watched from the edge of the path. He noticed something the others didn't. The rope holding the sign had tangled tightly around a rock. Milo scampered closer, squeezing between the grass blades. With careful nibbles and tiny tugs, he loosened the knot bit by bit. At last, the rope slipped free. "Look!" chirped Milo. The sign popped upright, pointing clearly toward the meadow once more. The wind settled, and the clouds drifted away. One by one, the animals realized what had happened. "You did that?" asked the rabbit, amazed. Milo nodded shyly. The bear smiled wide. "We couldn't have done it without you." At the picnic, Milo was given the first slice of apple pie. As laughter filled the meadow, Milo learned something important, and so did everyone else. Kindness doesn't depend on size. Even the smallest helper can make the biggest difference. After the harvest picnic, something wonderful began to change in the little town. The animals started noticing Milo more. Not because he was loud or strong, but because he was always watching, always ready to help. The very next morning, the ducklings were in trouble. Their favorite paper boat had drifted into a narrow stream tunnel where no one could reach. The water was too shallow for the beaver to swim through, and the tunnel was too tight for the rabbit. Everyone sighed sadly. Milo peeked over the edge. "I think I can help," he said softly. He tiptoed along the slippery stones, holding a long blade of grass like a rope. Carefully, slowly, Milo reached the boat and hooked it with the grass. With one gentle pull after another, the boat floated back out. The ducklings cheered and splashed happily. Later that day, the old owl dropped his reading glasses between two heavy books. No one could move the books without knocking over the shelf. Milo slipped in, nudged the glasses free, and placed them neatly on the table. "Thank you, little one," the owl said warmly. "My eyes aren't what they used to be." As days passed, Milo helped in small ways, guiding lost ants home, tying loose knots, finding missing buttons, and listening when someone felt sad. He never asked for praise. Helping made his heart feel light. One afternoon, Milo sat by the river, watching the water sparkle. The rabbit sat beside him and said, "You know, Milo, the town feels happier lately." Milo smiled. "Maybe kindness spreads," he said. The rabbit nodded. "And maybe it starts with the smallest helper of all." Milo looked at his tiny paws and realized something important. Being small didn't mean being unimportant. Sometimes, it meant being exactly the right size to help where others could not. And from that day on, whenever there was a problem, the animals would say with a smile, "Let's see what Milo thinks." One quiet evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and painted the sky gold and pink, Milo sensed that something wasn't right. The air felt tense, and the forest was unusually silent. Then a worried cry echoed through the town. "The bridge!" shouted the squirrel. "The little bridge over the stream is breaking." That bridge was very important. It connected the homes to the berry fields and helped the younger animals cross safely. When everyone rushed over, they saw the problem. A heavy storm earlier that day had loosened the wooden planks. One more strong wind, and the bridge would fall apart. The bear tried holding the planks steady. The beaver brought tools. The fox called out instructions. But the stream rushed fast beneath them, and every time someone moved, the planks slipped more. Everyone felt scared. Milo stood quietly, watching closely. He noticed a thin crack forming under one plank and a small peg that had slipped halfway out. It was too tiny for anyone else to see clearly. "I think I can fix something," Milo said bravely. The animals hesitated. "It's dangerous," said the rabbit gently. Milo took a deep breath. "I'll be careful." Using a long thread the spider had woven in a tiny wooden wedge, Milo crawled under the bridge. The space was just big enough for him. With patience and steady paws, he pushed the peg back into place and tied the thread tightly around the weak plank, knotting it again and again until it held firm. The bridge stopped shaking. Slowly, the bear let go. The beaver stepped back. The bridge stayed strong. A cheer rose through the forest. "You saved the bridge," the squirrel exclaimed. Milo climbed back up, a little muddy and very tired, but smiling. That night, the animals gathered around a lantern-lit clearing. The owl spoke softly, "Today we learned something important. Strength is helpful. Size can matter. But kindness, courage, and careful thinking matter most of all." Milo blushed as everyone clapped and smiled. From that day on, the town made a new rule. Every voice mattered, no matter how small. Milo didn't become famous or boastful, but he became trusted. And whenever the forest faced a problem too big, too tricky, or too quiet to notice, they remembered the lesson of the smallest helper. That even the tiniest heart can hold the greatest kindness.